The night was as dark as ink, the Westin Hotel, brilliantly lit, the secluded promenade cannot see the end at a glance, the dim light drips down, enveloping the promenade more mysterious and luxurious. A petite figure crept to the presidential suite, the door of the room was concealed, and Zhuang Nai Nai shoved in from the crack of the door. The whole room was very quiet. Only the rapid sound of water flowing from the bathroom. Turn around and close the door. Just put the documents on the table. Suddenly, a cold, charming voice came out of the bathroom. Zhuang Nai Nai's heart sucked and almost jumped out of her mouth. The back of the spine exuded a cold sweat. She turned to see that the person in the bathroom had not come out, so she took a sigh of relief and shut the door. There is no ceiling light in the room, only a dimly lit bedside lamp is on, which contrasts sharply with the dim lights of Beijing in front of the large floor-to-ceiling windows. But Zhuang Nai Nai didn't have time to look at the scenery. She stood in front of the palace's retro-style bed, quickly changed into the pajamas she took a deep breath, got into the quilt, and posed in a seductive confused pose. Just then, the sound of water in the bathroom stopped, and then the door was opened, and a tall figure came out of it, with a stream of fresh water vapor, and his inherent noble breath, let Zhuang Nai Nai's breath stagnate. The man was wearing a bathrobe and holding a towel to wipe his hair. Su Shi noticed someone in the room, and he looked up suddenly. His narrow eyes narrowed for a moment, flashing the frosty snow like dazzling cold light. Sharp eyes locked directly on Zhuang Nai Nai. Zhuang Nai Nai drew light makeup today. The dim light hit her porcelain white face. If her eyes are a little bit ink, her lips are like cherry, her facial features are small and exquisite, and she is beautiful. She wore a pair of pink pajamas, and her whole body was like a flower in a flower to be placed, which was attractive. However, the man was not attracted by the picturesque scenery, but his eyes were sinking, and a dangerous breath was set in his eyes, which was almost as strong as the bed. Why are you here? He opened his thin lips lightly, his voice with a gorgeous texture, charming but cold. Zhuang Nai Nai swallowed nervously, trying to keep herself calm. A bright smile squeezed out of her beautiful face, and her eyes turned quickly. That long night, I'll give you a warm bed. Warm bed? The man frowned, his voice was cold, and he asked a question, all exhaling his breath. Zhuang Nai Nai felt a strong sense of oppression, and she even became tense with breathing. She bit her scalp and said, Yeah, I'm your fiancé. We slept together, righteous. At the moment when Zhuang Nai Nai spoke, an aggressive masculine atmosphere suddenly approached, and the man's tall and erect body was oppressed, and the delicate features such as heavenly carving were in sight. Zhuang Nai Nai did not dare to move. Shui Lingling's big eyes stared straight at Zheng Ting, her heart beating fiercely. The quilt was lifted off, and the coolness in the air penetrated the body. Is she going to dedicate herself like this? However, after tonight, he should fulfill his engagement and marry himself, right? Thinking of this, Zhuang Nai Nai closed her eyes immediately and looked as if she were dead. Do my best. P.S. The new book finally meets everyone. This time I will present a different work to you. Of course, the main key is still a light and happy pet modi. In addition, during the publication of the new book, there are activities to send Q coins to the message 6, 9, 19, 26, 29, 96, 199, 299, and so on to send 10 Q coins. In addition, I will pick a few more and send mysterious gifts by post. Just when she thought what was going to happen next, she suddenly felt that something was covering her all at once. Zheng Ting looked at Zhuang Nai Nai, and the dark pupils of Hanren flashed coldly. Then, he grabbed the sheets with both hands and quickly wrapped the people on the bed into mules. Zhuang Nai Nai opened her eyes in shock and found herself hanging in midair. With the sound of the door opening, she was thrown on the carpet outside the promenade, and Zheng Ting looked at her coldly at this moment, thin lips opened slightly, and said mercilessly, Go. Immediately afterwards, the door was slammed. Zhuang Nai Nai was dumbfounded. She was wrapped in a sheet and did not return to God for a long time. But she was thrown out of the door as a result of her embarrassment. Zheng Ting, do you know what pity and love are? You. Zhuang Nai Nai struggled to take out her hands from the bed sheet and supported her body to sit up. At this time, the door opened again. Zhuang Nai Nai looked up, and saw Zheng Ting as an emperor, holding her condescendingly. When he met his deep and cold eyes, the words behind him were stuck in his throat and could not be said. Take it. As her voice dropped, all her clothes were thrown out. Zhuang Nai Nai wanted to jump from the ground, and rushed into the room. Boom, the door was closed and she wasn't smashed into the nose. This bastard. Zhuang Nai Nai really wanted to smash the door, but thought of the identity of the person inside, and suddenly lowered his head again. Zheng Ting, the heir of the Grand Group, is also the overlord of the business world. It is the most popular diamond king sought after by the most famous ladies. Emperor Group has strong capital and has been touched in various industries. Its industries involve finance, real estate, entertainment, etc. It is the most influential company in China and even Asia. None of them. And she Zhuang Nai Nai, but just flew up a branch a few days ago to become a phoenix, transformed from a poor woman into a goose enterprise, the missing lady who has disappeared for 22 years, goose enterprise, even the most glorious moment, and Emperor Group are in the sky. If it weren't for her mother's womb, how could this heavenly pride have a dime relationship with her? So, is the distance between her and him the same? You are my little apple, how do I love you? Suddenly, the cell phone lying on the ground suddenly rang. Zhuang Nai Nai saw the flashing number on the screen, and her face collapsed immediately. Sitting on the ground with one buttock, picked up the phone. Qian Yan, how's the situation? When did Mr. C say when you got married? Opposite the cell phone, my father Gu Desho was careful and mixed with anxious voice. Qing Yan. Gu Qing Yan. Zhuang Nai Nai skimmed her lips and returned to the Gu family for a few days, but she was still unfamiliar with the name. She looked up at the door opposite. That, Dad, it's not very good. Yan, our Gu's enterprise is going bankrupt, and the funds are frozen. Without Mr. C's guarantee, no bank would lend to us, and the 500,000 you asked for would not be available. So you must be no matter what let Mr. C promise to marry you. Zhuang Nai Nai took a deep breath. I see. Hanging up the phone, she clenched her fists. She must catch up with Zheng Ting and get the $500,000 to rescue her mother who raised her from childhood. Zhuang Nai Nai can't admit defeat.